Welcome, yogis. Welcome to the mat. I'm proud of you. I've had some great conversations with people about both the challenges of getting to the mat, especially if they have a very unscheduled day. They kind of go, oh, I can do it later, I can do it tomorrow. And then also the excitement of getting to the mat and feeling like it was exactly what was needed and that it helped fuel all the other good parts of the life and support also any challenges. And that's kind of my theme this week is energy management. Um, Noticing, how much energy you are giving to fear, worry, kind of free roaming, anxieties versus how much you're giving to love and trust and gratitude and all the kind of more affirming, supportive thoughts and feelings that really boost the chemistry in our body, literally. And so noticing that, and then also asking what is needed to shift the energy. If in fact you've been feeling scared or anxious, but also just kind of lethargic, or having a challenge getting motivated, or feeling the deep satisfaction of doing something creative, whether it's out in the yard or the garden, or I know many people are having time that they haven't had to get involved in their quilting or painting or singing just for the fun of it, writing poetry, cooking. Creativity can take so many forms, but I often feel like creativity is the opposite end from stagnation, compression that can come with fear, anxiety, worries, too many lists, and so on. So it's kind of a big topic that has wonderful tendrils, but I've been exploring it a lot in my own life and mind as I try to find that right balance of energy and so on. So I did send out an email and hope that you got to see it, but that I'm really encouraging you to think about your own forms of creativity. I shared a wonderful journal painting that one of our students, Susan Walsh, did when she was inspired by the loving kindness meditation. So we're going to do that meditation again today. And I encourage you to take it and adjust the words in any way that really make it feel like it's speaking to your heart. And ideally, you should feel the resonance or the shift in your body. And if you find it a useful tool, it's a very easy meditation to repeat each day. I was actually using it as I was walking down the driveway the other day as kind of a walking meditation out in nature, and that was really satisfying. I'm also sharing with you some wonderful music that I'm so excited about and grateful for. It's the kind of creative collaboration, if you will, of Kenton Whitman and Tracy Glenn's, two of our yogis. And I really just love the music. I hope you'll enjoy it. I'm sharing one piece here at the beginning of our practice as I invite you to kind of meditate inward on your body and breath, and then at the end of practice for Shavasana and after the loving kindness meditation. So for now, a reminder too that as this practice involves more flow, notice if it's just too much and inviting you to pause, move into child's pose, ragdoll, go back into corpse pose, wherever you need to be, and then rejoin when you can do so from integrity of breath. Let the breath be the thing that propels you, your fuel, your life force. And when we do that, our whole practice becomes more spacious, physically, but also mentally, emotionally. So hopefully our time on the mat together today in and of itself will help create a spaciousness for you and just kind of open the flow for creative energy, whatever form that takes. A reminder that you can adapt any of the postures that just don't work for your body today. So we're going to be doing a bunch of flow that's kind of warrior inspired, a lot of stuff on our feet. And then I'll be inviting a movement through dog series at times, kind of as transition and so on. But if just being on your wrist today is just not going to work for your body or your, any part, your shoulders or so on, just don't do it. When we're transitioning through dog series, you might decide to hang out in ragdoll or to do standing hip pump. So those would be some great options as a way to stay off your hands, but still getting some of that spinal pumping that we want. And so a big part of our focus today is going to start with this part of the body, this lower abdomen. Whenever you're ready, please come down onto your back and place your hands right there so that your palms are kind of between the pubic bone and the belly button. And we consider this, it's just the second chakra, and we consider it a source of creative energy, creativity of all sorts, sexuality and sensuality, and again, kind of invention and so on. So this is a part of our body that we want to wake up energetically. It's also physically, of course, hugely important for supporting our low back and spine. And that's an area that when it's strong, we do feel that we can give ourselves and apply ourselves to anything that excites us from a position of strength and hopefully not feeling overworked or weak or, oh, that was too much. So please begin on your back, and when you're ready, place your hands there on that low abdomen. Close the eyes. Turn your gaze up and in as if you are looking up behind the center of the forehead. What do you see there? Literally, please pause and look. What's there? Colors, darkness, points of light. And then please give a little attention right here to the low abdomen where you feel the hands. And join me in 3 sighing breaths, gathering a long inhale. Notice the texture of the breath, of the energy that you feel as you release it again and again. A couple more times. Feel that lower abdomen filling on the inhale. And then feel it softening again with your release of any stagnation, any worries, fears, lists. Now we're taught to just simply have our attention on breath and to never let our thoughts wander, and of course they do, and to call them back right away. And I think overall that's valuable. But for these first couple minutes of our practice, I'm going to ask you, as you're trying to attend to your breath and body, to notice perhaps what form of thoughts bubble up. Are there any particular repetitive voices, stresses? And if so, I invite you to take a moment with them now and get a little more intimate. What are they really saying? What are you really scared of? And if you're not feeling fear per se, are there just distractions? What keeps you from present moment? This breath. To notice that breath, finding the pause, the gap between the rise and the settling. Notice the wandering of the mind. Notice again its quality and things that it's distracted by. When you're ready, come back to breath. You might add that ujjayi throat contraction. Light connection to the tip of the tongue. sure you're feeling breath into the low abdomen. If that's difficult, use your hands as a reference point to bring awareness. Press into that lower belly, big Buddha belly. Life force, flow, present moment, awakenedness. This is a wonderful time also for a mantra to lead into your practice. I am well, I am whole, I am safe. This is my yoga. There's nothing to know, do, or accomplish. I'm here at the mat. Please notice how these few minutes of focus have felt. And please reflect, again, if any particular themes arose, kind of distracted, stress-oriented thoughts. And if so, I'll invite you to consider journaling about them after practice. But also in this moment, I'm going to ask you to imagine that you've got like a little fabric bag or satchel, and you're going to just place any of those thoughts that might feel, again, harassing or just heavy, distracting, certainly, from this moment, and place them in your little bag. You might picture what color it is, what fabric, whatever. Tie it up, and then I'm going to ask you to just imagine placing it to the side, kind of away from you in your practice, maybe just outside the door or the window, with the knowledge that you can reconnect with those thoughts and feelings whenever you'd like. You're not shoving them away, telling them to get lost, because often that just makes them more powerful, more aggressive, saying, hear me. But that they're there, and it gives you the free space to now come on back to this moment, this body, this breath. Continuing with the eyes closed and noticing the breath movement, please now come into compression and expansion. So powerful exhale, pressing, emptying, asking, is there more? Is there more? Until there's not. Then allowing that next inhale to fill you, expand you. Again, hopefully you're really feeling it down into that low abdomen. And so in this way, getting a massage into our center body throughout really our whole spine and all of those chakras, but particularly focusing on this low abdomen. And when you feel ready to do so, I'm going to invite you to turn the compression exhale into a sit-up. For that, I'm going to take my hands behind my head, and ideally I'm letting my head sink in, into my hands. I'm not using the hands to lift the head or draw the chin into the chest. Allowing that long inhale, and on your next exhale, belly to spine, feel the pelvis tilt, flex the feet for added core support through the butt and thigh area, and allow that sit-up to happen if it feels appropriate today. Emptying, emptying. Is there more? Inhaling. Relaxing the legs, the belly, the spine as you allow that inhale to be full and greedy. Exhaling. Again, compression with or without sit-up. Inhaling, expansion. Your breath rhythm, of course, will be different at times, both now and throughout the practice. Always follow your rhythm. Remember, you can't get ditched or lost. You can just always kind of connect up with me again when you're ready. Let's do one more like that. So again, if this is a challenge area, this low belly for you to connect with, you might even use your hands to kind of touch the low abdomen and draw down. Light connection, tip of the tongue. So all the core effort with none of the face and neck effort. And release. Nice. Go ahead and walk those feet under the knees for bridge pose. Arms coming down alongside the hips. We're going to be doing a little pumping movement here. So first take a nice long inhale, and then exhale, press up to your first bridge. Really awakening the whole foot bed, the inner foot connecting. Notice if you're scrunching up your toes, try and root and spread them instead. Inner thighs working. And inhaling, come slowly down and take your arms overhead towards the wall behind you. Full inhale, exhale, hips come up and arms switch back to that position, palms down by the hips. Inhaling, descending as slowly as you can, arms reaching above the head. And exhaling into your bridge again, palms coming down by the hips. And again, you're of course editing out any portions of this or adding in things that your body spontaneously wants. One more. Asking, is there more? Exhale, belly to spine. Feel even that perineum engagement, pelvic floor. Press up. Good. Now pause here, please, and take your hands to the hip bones. And first, I like to start with a little foot hover, as I call it, right? We're just lifting of 1 foot, an inch or two off of the floor and noticing if there's a hip drop. And if so, we're using the low abdomen, but also the butt and hamstring and thigh of the standing leg to reorient these hips. This is really important. We're going to want it today. Well, we want it in life, but we're going to want it today in a bit of our warrior flow where we're launching into warrior 3. And a lot of people struggle with keeping their hips even. You might take a little break, big inhale, and then exhale, come back up and add extension. So pressing through the heel. And so now the body's counterbalancing more weight. Couple more. And this is also your check-in point. If you're feeling any low back discomfort, that's your clue to really care for that area as you enjoy your practice today. And come on down, knees to belly. And I'm going to invite us in a spinal twist because they're so good. They say that spinal twists bring our pieces of self back together, unite them. I love that concept, that there's a tool for that, I have to say. I'm going to come into a more active and pulsing twist. You can, of course, just come into embryo pose and be on one side and then the next for a few breaths each. I'm going to go from side to side, arms out in a T, long inhale, feet active and thighs active. Exhaling, taking the knees to one side. Pausing, inhaling, slow, deep and wide. Exhaling, using that belly to spine action, bringing the legs back to center and all the way to the other side. Pausing. You can always let that back arm go for the inhale. And then exhaling, bringing it all the way to the other side. So again, you're amending this any way you like. One more time, each side in this way. Breath initiating motion. Is there more? And as we go to the side one more time, I'm going to invite you to extend the top leg. This offers sometimes a really nice stretch through hips and thigh. If it's just making you feel kind of contracted, anxious, tight, don't add it. Otherwise, nice, powerful flex through the foot. Maybe you can use your hand to help that foot come closer to your ear. You can bring the foot towards the floor and a little bit up again. Again, working kind of that IT band. And always bend that knee before you come back to center, and then other side to explore the other leg. Is this side different? What do you experience? Where is the stretch? And are you still cultivating deep breath into that low belly? And as you're ready, come on back. Good. We're going to do a little robot flow because, again, it's so great for galvanizing the core.
And as you know, your job is to do the right amount, so you don't have to do arms, you could do legs only, and you don't have to go all the way to the floor. So starting with legs at double 90, knees straight up from the hips, heels straight forward, arms straight up, shoulders anchored. Long inhale, pushing the back into the floor while you press your breath to the sky. Exhale, staying connected through the spine while you take one heel towards the floor, and if you're using the arm, it's the opposite arm reaching for the wall behind. I like pausing in flight for my inhale. Again, pushing the back into the floor, exhaling. Come on back. Inhale in neutral as if it's all you would ever do. Exhaling, other heel, other arm, and try to notice if the limbs that are supposed to be stable are moving. They tend to do that. It's a great brain challenge. Big inhale here. Exhale, come on back. And I usually take a little pause, a little break, and that way my muscles aren't kind of gripping. They're just getting strong. One more round, join me. In neutral, big inhale. Exhaling, one heel, one arm, or the arms are staying stable and static. Big inhale. Exhale, powerful rooting with the back to the floor. Inhale, neutral. And last time now, opposite heel and hand. Really reaching through that middle finger. Reaching as you inhale. Exhale, boom, come on back. Knees to belly. Nice. Lastly, please take your feet flat to the floor outside the edges of the mat. And we're going to enjoy a little windshield wipering. This is a wonderful way to, first of all, get to know, again, what's in our kind of hips and thighs and pelvic groin area, where there's so many connections that are a part of our strength and allow us to do yard work and biking and a gazillion other great things, but can really be also kind of tight or tweaky, and we want to notice any differences side to side. Pause with your right knee down and then take the right arm up overhead towards the wall behind. And you can do some nice movements through wrists, love those up. And then left knee down, left arm up and behind. Please try to feel on your inhale the opportunity to stretch through, again, that low abdomen and kind of the psoas muscles that connect the legs with the back and spine. And come on back. Bring the heels or the feet actually together and let the knees just come out into that relaxed butterfly. Again, big belly breath. All right, we're going to do one more movement here before we come up into some standing stuff that is supposed to help activate that low belly. But again, it's a sit-up motion, and so if that's too much, just leave the sit-up part out, but focus on the low belly. I'm going to take my legs into a straddle. If that's too much, you just have your feet flat like you would for bridge, but kind of wider. And I'm going to take a nice long inhale. I'm flexing powerfully through those heels. As I exhale, I'm going to start with that low abdomen, perineum, pelvic floor, and then the rest of the compression brings my torso up. And I'm still thinking about sending my feet towards my ears or the wall behind me. Is there more? Inhaling, release. I'm just going to do two more. Exhaling, engage. So this is all very breath and kind of sensation driven, right? A great deal of inward attention, listening, letting the breath reset to its very slow, deep and wide yogic breath, even when we're in powerful action. Release. Good. Bring those legs together. Nice. We're going to come up to our mountain stance. If you like spinal rocking, go for it. If you do not, just meet us on your feet. And at first, if you would, just go ahead and let your body hang in your ragdoll. So ragdoll, the knees are bent. Throughout practice, you can always substitute forward fold for ragdoll and vice versa. Forward fold kind of loosely referring to the legs straight. But my forward fold is basically almost always with my knees bent, because that's where I'm going to get the best stretch into the meat of the hamstring and not feel it behind the knee or at the connection point into the glute in the butt area. So I'm just breathing and noticing what's going on in the legs, the hips. Kind of take the feet kind of wide and move it a little side to side. Good. And invitation to come up halfway. So bring the hands to the shin bones and extend the spine halfway to get plenty of big breath. Exhale, compression again, bend, belly to spine. So practicing a couple more times, really working that abdominal area. That's what's driving both the extension and the fold. One more. Inhaling, root and rise, drop the butt and sweep up. Big butt squeeze forward and prayer hands. So that butt squeeze forward is basically what I think of when I say standing hip pump, is I'm going to bring the hips a little behind. Go ahead and do it with me now. And then just squeeze those glutes forward. And you can do it without arms. You can just do a squeeze. This is a great way to release if you're going to take a quick break from any kind of forward folding work, lifting and so on. You can also take it deeper into kind of more of a squat, and you can add the arms. So this is a great alternate to dog series that really gives us some of the same spinal pumping. And if you're working the arms like so, you're also getting some of that upper body work, but without the wrist, shoulder stuff that might aggravate in dog series. And now invitation to come into downward dog. Inhale, root and rise up, big butt squeeze. Exhaling, I'm going to fold and step back. Alternately, you might come into table pose, right, your cow-cat, and use that cat back to take you up. Please begin with knees bent, and as I always say, you might never straighten your legs, and you don't need to have a great downward dog. We are interested in the intelligent hand position. Middle finger straight forward, other fingers wide, anchoring through the pad, the thumb, the index finger, and rotating those shoulder heads away from the ears, and then making sure that the arms really are straight and pushing your hips towards the sky. Then I want you to take this opportunity upside down. It's a challenge mentally to think about that low abdomen. And so if you would, inhale and kind of come a little forward, like you're going to bring your shoulders over your wrists, like you're thinking about a plank. Exhale, use that lowest belly between pubic bone and belly button to take the hips up and back. It's like it's creating a harness. If I were with you, I would try to then kind of place my hands up against the hips and encourage that movement or that awareness. Let's do that again. Setting your gaze between the feet, drishti gaze. And ideally you're using closed mouth. I sometimes open mine so that my ujjayi is a little louder to inspire you. I'm also getting a little stuffy upside down here with some of the spring allergies. Beautiful. Please come into a resting posture, whether it's child's pose on the knees or simply hanging in your ragdoll. This is also a lovely time to bring the arms alongside of the legs if that's comfortable, giving an opposite shape from our downward facing dog. Big abdominal breath, feeling it register in your back. And then as you're ready, extend those arms as far forward as you can. Nice low belly contracting, so I end up with a pelvic tuck. Come on up, basically into table, although my hands are a little far forward for table, which is good because I'm going to take it into low plank, chaturanga. So ideally here the body is the same distance, hands to feet, as you would if you were in plank, and then you just drop your knees. So it's a way to check it. You don't want to have the hands in the position they would be for table because they'll be too close. So push the floor away. Really get strong in that low belly, and then of course that sternum area. Boom. And now exhaling, just a small bend in the elbows, check your integrity, and if it feels good, go all the way to the floor. Anchor down through the pelvis. We're going to do a little cobra pumping here. So anchor those shoulder heads down and inhale, extend, exhale, return. Really want to get intimate with that feeling of breath moving us through space. One more inhale, cobra. And if it feels appropriate, press now onto the tops of the feet to experience your upward dog. And again, you should feel the weight in that full palm, not just the wrist. Good. Exhaling, ujjayi, downward facing dog. Lovely. And I'm going to walk my hands very slowly back to my forward fold ragdoll. Pushing through each hand, getting that good shoulder work. Inhaling, root and rise. Exhaling, prayer hands and pause. So when we have our hands in prayer hands, we might have it like right tight to our heart. You can also touch that third eye as you come down. And if my eyes are open, I'll often send them out kind of over the middle finger, a drishti gaze, which also touches kind of the floor in front of me. Now, if you would please step sideways on your mat, straddle. And we're going to take those feet nice and wide and get anchored through the whole footbed as we begin to go side to side. Just a nice, almost like a rollerblading motion with the feet being in one position. That same kind of pushing. If you want to add an arm reach. And the getting into the side body is really incredible for our core and our spaciousness, right? We have a lot of room to breathe here into those ribs. Feeling that powerful line from foot to hand. And when you're ready, just take it on down and make your journey side to side, loving what you're finding, even if it's intense in the hips and the thighs. Whew, yeah, deep breaths. Marvelous. And if it feels appropriate while you're here, a little yoga mudra. I'm going to bring my feet in a little bit. I'm going to keep deeply bent in the knees as I reach behind and intertwine my hands. Reminder, you can use a strap or a sock and give your hands a little more room. Good. And coming on up. Lovely. We're going to step to the front of the mat. Finding your mountain stance. Tadasana, feet maybe 6 inches apart. Just depends a little bit on your size and width of hip bones. But we're not trying to get them the outer dimension of the hips, just right with those hip bones. And root. Steady your breath. Find the space, the gap, the pause. And we're going to be doing a transition between two postures. And I'm intentionally having it be very simple so that we can really attend to breath and our hip alignment. So as you are ready, please step back with that right foot. So you're in a warrior one with the foot flat. So if my front foot is at noon, that back foot, my right foot, is at 1 or 2 at most. I'm not turning it way out because I want those hip bones straight forward. Good. So either with hands at your prayer or on hips, whatever feels best to you in the moment, I want you to please just transition to returning to your warrior one foot and then standing only on that front leg. So just make this transition a few times. Noticing what's happening in the standing leg and foot. And of course, your breath. Maybe find a soft smile. All right. Invitation now to launch and hold. And again, check that the hip bones are steering forward and down. And then see if you can move into parallel with the floor. And don't force it. Okay. And land on your foot again. Inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale as you launch, bring the arms back into kind of a jet airplane. Again, you might be at a very small angle or parallel with the floor. Nice and long through the neck. Good. Couple more times with that pulse. Inhaling, reaching up. Hips pressing forward. Is there more? Really pay attention to that low belly. Hiya. Launch. Arms reaching down and back. Jet airplane. One more time. Land. And launch.
Beautiful. I'm going to return to mountain. Pause. Notice your breath. Notice what you might have learned too from, again, any proprioception. Is it hard to keep your foot rooted? That's okay. That's the practice. And this is where we get some wonderful neural pathway work. So when you're ready, step back with the left foot. Check the steering of those hips. Nice elongated neck. Long inhale. Exhale, launching. And we're just going to do a few small launches. Inhale, foot lands. Exhale, launching. You can make that warrior one lunge bigger if you'd like. It's just that much more work on that front knee and thigh to launch from that further back position. Okay, when you're ready, try launching and holding, steering those hip bones, and seeing how close to parallel your body would like to get today. And now return, warrior one foot. Sweep those arms up. Good. Long inhale. Exhale, launch. Jet airplanes drawing back. Inhaling, warrior one with arms up. Exhaling, launch. Jet airplane arms. I love looking at my standing foot one more time here and noticing all the work that's happening there. It also helps me remember to elongate my neck instead of looking forward. Last time, good, come on out. And when you're ready, return to your mountain. So I like shaking those legs out a little bit. That can feel really good. Steady the breath. Marvelous. So we're going to come into crescent lunge now. So I'm going to have you step back with your left foot, so you're on the ball of the back foot, steering those hip bones forward. So it's drawing the right hip bone back, left hip bone forward. It should get us into that position of strength. Go ahead and check that out. Good, and we're going to start off again with the arms up, just right here in our crescent lunge. And then as I'm going to come forward, I'm staying on both feet, but I am hinging forward at my hips. So it's a little like warrior three, but I'm not flying. I'm staying here, and I want you to really check in that right hip bone is back. Good. Come up again. Hinge. Feel that low abdominal support. If you're leaning on your thigh, that's because these muscles aren't hunkered up into the spine the way we want. One more. Now hold, invitation to reach the arms forward. This is often the way that people practice warrior three. I didn't introduce it that way because it's a lot for people's backs. Let's return to mountain. So a classic warrior three would be with those arms extended. And for a lot of people, that's just, like I said, hard on neck and back. Steady the breath, soft neck, rooting feet, low abdominal support. And as you're ready, we'll step back then with that left right foot, crescent lunge. I've been trying to get better actually in my own practice at not always starting with the same foot, which is really good practice, but it gets mentally confusing. You're like, which side did I do? Steer those hip bones. Again, we're on the ball of the back foot. So if you've got that steering and clicking the thigh, again, you feel strong and buoyant. Check it out. Good. Inhaling up. Exhaling, hinge. Finding as long a line from that back heel to crown as I can. And checking that low abdomen. Inhaling up. Exhaling, hinging, shoulder head sliding down towards my hip bones. One more like that. And check that you're not leaning on that thigh. And returning. Ooh, I bet a ragdoll would feel good right now. That's where I'm going to head. If you're hungering, however, for dog series, then you plant those hands, step or jump back, and find your way through plank to chaturanga, cobra, or dog, etc. Otherwise, right here in ragdoll, practice really letting the neck go. Again, big belly breath, even though you're in a fold. And then as you're ready, root and rise. Now, a reminder that going from forward folding to upright, and especially when our heart rate is elevated, can be kind of intense. If you feel yourself getting lightheaded or anything, you need to kind of dial it back. We're going to step sideways on our mat again for straddle. Take it nice and wide, and when you're ready, turn your right foot 90 degrees. Take a couple of pulses, just checking that when you go into your deepest lunge here in this position, and this is the kind of warrior two leg position with the thighs externally rotating, that front thigh arrives over the heel, all right? And then please check if I straighten my leg that I've got nice activity on the inner foot and my thighs are again externally rotating. I don't have a knee angling inward. I feel really stable because we want to be there for sure. So as you're ready, inhale and send the hips forward, bent knee, right arm reaching up. Keep the left arm just settle on the thigh, left thigh. As you exhale, straighten your front leg and come into your triangle pose, letting that right hand kind of slide on down that inside of your shin or calf. Inhale, bend the front knee, sweep up, power in that back leg, sends the hips forward, deep side body breath. Exhale, belly to spine, transitioning us beautifully, I hope, into triangle. Inhaling again. If you'd like to add that left arm, you can. You would kind of windmill it into a full triangle pose. If this creates back pressure or you just don't feel that you can enjoy and breathe, don't add that hand. Couple more. And coming back up, neutral the feet. If it would feel good, take again a little bent knee break, straddle forward fold. Oh, give it a little love. And we'll go to the other side, turning that left foot 90, deep in the lunge. Pulsing, checking it out a couple of times. And then straightening that leg and checking the ignition. Again, where we take our touch, we take attention. So talk to those thigh muscles. We don't want it just standing there. And then as you're ready, inhale, reach up through the left arm and letting the right hand just settle on my right thigh. And exhaling, triangle leg. And sliding that left hand down inside of the leg. Notice how that's feeling. We want the motion, if you will, to be directed from breath and this kind of lower body, the belly and the pelvis. If you'd like, add that top arm. This is what keeps us safe and strong. If we get distracted and we're moving from arms or ego or something that isn't that yes center body, we're going to feel it later in an icky way. Let's do one more. And again, if it would feel good, release into any kind of forward fold. Bent legs either together or apart in straddle. Maybe take a sip of water. Roll out ankles and wrists. They do so much. I'm going to ask you to just notice in general, what are you feeling? Is this part of the body activating this low belly? You can, those of you who are watching will see that I've got one hand on my low belly and I'm putting another on my chest to just notice my heart rate and my breath. We're going to be coming into a little warrior flow that also integrates dog series that I'm going to offer the option of stepping forward from downward facing dog to place yourself in a lunge, either crescent lunge or warrior one. And again, if you're just done with shoulder or wrist stuff for today for any reason, then remember instead you would be coming from the front of the mat and stepping back into your lunging position. And again, you can always just do standing hip pump and what have you. So please, I'm here with you, but that doesn't mean we have to do all the same stuff, right? It's just like when we're in practice together, I'm providing a framework and your job is already done. You got to the mat, and so now you just edit what's right for today, for what your body is wanting and needing and can receive. So we're going to return to the front of the mat, mountain pose. And remember, in mountain also, we can at any point be, bringing our arms down. They could be in prayer. Sometimes people really want to keep that heart rate up. You're enjoying that heat and a little bit of intensity. You might have the arms overhead more. And same really throughout our whole warrior practice. You can always just simplify it by keeping the arms close to the body. I'm going to start off in jet airplane arms and use this chance to remind myself, what does it feel like when I've activated my shoulder heads down towards the hips? I'm kind of activating my upper arms a little into my upper body as I really straighten my arms, and that allows me to wake up those triceps that I want to help me out during any of the chaturanga and so on. Letting breath steady and letting my attention return to that slow, deep and wide breath, the pause in between. Inhaling, root and rise, sweep up, maybe send the butt forward, send the gaze up if you'd like. Exhaling and swan dive, forward fold, ragdoll. Let that head hang fully. Inhaling, extend halfway up. Exhaling, step back with your left leg only and pause. Really deepen the lunge. Again, that front knee should be right over the heel. I'm going to come into a twist here, and this is where some people, you might want your block. You can also come all the way up like so. If going this low just does not work, it pulls on your back. Otherwise, asking you to please make sure that your body's a nice long line, or knee down also if you prefer. And then just reach that right arm up. Nice twist. Keep steering that right hip bone back, left hip bone forward. Exhale, release, plant the hands and step back, downward facing dog. Inhaling to your plank or any alternate. Again, I always do knees down for my first round. Exhaling, chaturanga. Nice engagement, no wings, no shrugs. Nose preceding the hips. Inhaling, anchoring your cobra. Again, feel that breath, fill the heart space. No wings, no shrugs. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Inhale, exhale, sigh. And we're going to step forward with that left foot. See if you can get it all the way forward in one. Otherwise, grab it and pull it forward. And again, your version might involve dropping the knee. Either way, what's critical here is my body is not, again, sitting onto the thigh or collapsing towards the floor. I'm in that same kind of strong lunge motion that we've been practicing today, and that low belly is lifting into the spine. Inhale, exhale, belly to spine, and rotate. Remember, you don't have to bring that arm up. If it bothers your shoulder, for example, just have it on the thigh. Big breath, rotate, and inhale, release, prepare for downward dog, reduce the swoosh, as I say, to lift that foot, and press back. Inhale, exhale, sigh. And this is a great time, of course, always to take a little break if you'd like. Otherwise, I'm going to invite you to take your right leg flying, really reaching through the heel and noticing if you lost any alignment, a hip dip or a shrug or what have you. Restabilize. If you're not sure, bring the foot back. Otherwise, one more long inhale, maybe open up that top hip. Make sure that floor foot isn't moving. In fact, I'm staring at mine. Exhale, neutral. Bring that right foot forward, plant the back foot in your warrior one stance. So the foot is flat, really facing more towards the front of the mat than the side. Hip bones steered forward. If you can't get your heel to the floor, don't worry about it. But also if it's painful, then do a crescent lunge instead. All right, big breath, belly to spine. Come on up. Settle. Shoulder head slide down. Nice long inhale. Exhale, we're going to hinge forward and find that long line from the heel or back foot to the crown. Good, we're gonna inhale and sweep up. And exhaling, warrior two. So rotating that back foot now 90. Again, settle, find support and integrity. Good. Inhale, reaching up and back. That knee is still bent. Exhale to your triangle. So straighten that front leg, cock the hip. You don't have to go here in all one motion, right? We kind of broke it down earlier on purpose, but if this is a new pose to you, it's just a lot to find truly straight. Good. Inhaling on up. Exhaling, we're going to rotate onto the ball of that back foot. I'm adjusting my feet so I can really feel strong and stable in the pelvis. And we're going to come into that warrior three launch. I'm going to start with my arms up in crescent lunge. Exhaling, launch into my warrior three, bringing my arms back like we did before. And then whatever version you're in, again, you might not be parallel with the floor. You might be like just slightly hinged. But if you'd like, you could practice bringing those arms forward overhead. If you can't breathe, you've gone past your edge. Good. I'm going to ask you to return that back foot one more time. Big inhale, press the heart forward. If you're going to do a little back bend, here's your chance. Pelvis pressing forward, heart forward and up. And exhaling, plant the hands and reduce the swoosh. Great opportunity for resting. If you'd like dog flow, inhaling to your plank. Shoulder heads nice and anchored. Exhaling, you can lift that butt up a little bit, make it easier to lower that chest before the hips. Either cobra, pelvis on the floor, or you might have transition directly from chaturanga to upward dog. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Inhaling, take your left leg flying. Now you might be like, no, I need to rest. Great, do it. Meet us after a few breaths. This is just an important chance to find our edge, right? Can we create more spaciousness with breath, with our attention, even when things get a little intense? Bend that top leg, option to open the hip. Keep pushing equally through both arms. This is important. Check that floor foot. And slowly get that foot forward. Good. Back foot plants. Again, warrior one stance. Hip bones shine forward. Alternately, crescent lunge stance with the ball of the foot on the floor, heel raised. When you're ready, come on up. And let's steady in the pose. To me, that means really finding a strong foundation with all the right muscles, and then checking that there's a softening in the areas that don't need to be involved. Eyebrows, throat, clenching teeth. Nice abiding breath. All right. You might even find a nice soft smile. That always helps. So when you're ready, we're going to be hinging forward. And again, if you have any doubt that those hip bones aren't steered correctly, take your hands and adjust them. And then as you're ready, hinge, reach the crown towards the wall in front of you. So now my vision's lighting up my big toe, my shoulder heads are reaching down my back body. Inhaling, returning. Exhaling, hinging. Again, checking that I'm not leaning on that leg. One more time. And inhaling, rise. Exhaling, transition to your Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. Again, check your distance, your alignment. This is really important that we know our foundation's there and then the right things can work for us. Make sure that you're not reaching forward in space, but that spine is straight up and down. Good, and as you're ready, we'll begin our pumping back and forth
Inhaling, reaching up through that left hand, hips stay low towards that front heel. Exhaling, transitioning to triangle. How much exhale is there? Inhaling, transitioning upright. Again, really pumping that side body, but if it's too much, you feel any kind of pulling or pain, remember to just keep that top hand on the hip instead of extending it. Also, please check that your head is in alignment. One more. And just notice if your head isn't reaching directly forward away from the heel, but if it's kind of cocked forward like you're trying to look at your back foot, we don't want that. Good. And come on up. You might bring hands to hips, by the way, for an easier transition. Coming onto the ball of that back foot. And we're preparing for that warrior 3 movement. So again, I find sometimes I need a shorter stance to be able to make that movement and have my legs and my ankle and my knees and everything be happy. So I'm going to start with arms up, crescent lunge. Exhale, launch into my version of warrior 3, pumping those arms into jet airplane. I'm going to do that again. And whenever you feel ready to hold and explore whether you can reach those arms forward. And again, maybe it's forward up towards the ceiling, right? We'd like to feel a good amount of work in the ham, but not a big pull in the butt. And return. Last big inhale, back bend opportunity. Reaching the heart forward and up. Maybe reaching up through the vision. You're not dropping the head back. Exhaling. Press back. Downward facing dog. Inhale, exhale, sigh. Setting your vision between the feet. I'm going to ask you to notice if there's anything particular that your body would like. If you want to go directly from here into pigeon, for example, that would be an option. I'm going to actually come onto my back body for a little bridge pose and pigeon alternate. And I find that that's a really nice thing after all of that lunging. I'm also going to grab my block and have it handy for the sacral support. So when you're ready, come on down to your back and find bridge. We've used our legs a lot. I'm hoping you can feel that in a good way. And remember, if you've got any major areas of just tightness tomorrow or the next day, and you're like, I guess I did yoga, a lot of the same movements and stretches are actually what's needed. So, do a little bridge, do a little pigeon alternate, maybe do some good warriors, and usually that stagnation that's creating the discomfort will move, and you'll just be able to have all the new strength that you've built without the part of it. All right, so I'm going to come into pigeon alternate here. Again, you might be in classic pigeon at this point. So crossing right ankle onto the left thigh, the left knee is bent like I was in bridge. And I'm going to bring the whole deal towards me so I can hug my right knee. Remember, if this is too much, you just keep that other foot on the floor. Otherwise, please have that flying foot flex, that leg's really active and supportive. I'm going to hug that knee, and then I'm just going to roll a little left, and it does not take much for me. And I know a lot of people that feel something pretty good in that right glute. Breathe deeply into it, and of course, feel free to kind of pulse back to neutral, and then a little left. Sometimes I'll also grab that foot, so I'm hugging both, then hugging the knee with my elbow and grabbing the foot with my hand, and sometimes that allows me to play at a different level. And when you're ready, release, and we'll switch. Crossing the left ankle, drawing the left knee into the belly, pulsing a little to the right, and again, noticing what you find. And I'm always happy in class when I see people kind of take their hand and kind of go, oh yeah, ooh, that's where I feel it. That's a wonderful way to be more intimate with what is happening, what areas have been working, not just in our yoga, but in daily life, what areas might
have been taking on stress from, again, repetition and not being given enough range of motion. And then inviting you to plant the feet one more time. Just a nice bridge engagement is great to do after that stretch. And then I'm going to lift the hips and place the block under the sacral triangle. And so if having the legs extended is uncomfortable, do bend them again. But either way, I'm hoping that you're feeling some of the stretch through this low abdomen, that kind of area right between the hip bones. And again, we have a deep connection here of the psoas muscle kind of underneath and in the hip bone area. And of course, we get a stretch through the hip flexors and quads. Just depends on how tight you are. But if you cultivate a willful breath now into that low belly, my hope is you'll really feel a deeper stretch ignite. And we know that energetically, it's just very helpful. I like to think of the breath as bringing us massage, and we know it brings circulation and spaciousness. It's good for us. I also love this position because it says, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing anything. So if you've been kind of caught up in list making of any sort, or just getting that kind of feeling of having, the gear, being in gear, not being able to just get out of gear into neutral, this position is very helpful. Child's pose, very helpful. There have been some really amazing studies about creativity and the energy that it takes for that flow to happen. And it's really, really fun to study in yourself. So please stay on the block only as long as it feels really wonderful, and then come off and give yourself any little counter stretches. I'm going to bring knees to belly because that feels really good to me. And inviting an option, if you'd like, of just rolling over and doing pre-bow bow, where we're grabbing both ankles. And that might feel really good, both as a stretch and as kind of a last intense posture, if you will. I'm going to come up to standing to do the standing quad stretch. Part of what's fun about this is noticing how the two sides can be different. Sometimes it's also nice just to not be on your belly so that you can enjoy the stretch without some of the deep breath challenge there. So I'm going to grab my right ankle first, and I want to make sure that the bent knee can come in towards the standing leg, like so. And I also want to make sure that I'm not hinging forward at the hip. That if you were to take a photo of me kind of hips up, I would just look like I'm standing there and talking. And then I engage my butt cheeks forward as I invite my right knee to move back towards in alignment with the standing leg. And it doesn't have to get to anywhere specific. We're just trying to get the stretch. You might use your free arm for a counterbalance forward. Some people like having it up. I sometimes like having it at the chest. And when you feel complete, you'll release. You might shake that out, and we'll find the other side. So I don't always talk about this, I guess, while I'm doing it, but sometimes my way of doing both the pre-bow pose and this is that I'll contract the butt, and then I'll let it go a little bit. So I'm kind of pulsing into the deepest edge of the stretch, and then softening it a little bit. And again, you're trying to let that bent knee move back towards the standing leg, and you really, really want to make sure that that knee is moving in and that you're not hinging. Nice deep breath. Of course, this is a balancing posture, so if the balance part is too hard, just grab a wall. And release that again. Go ahead and shake those, and just doing any little final motions to release some of the intensity of warrior, but also notice all the good work that we did. And I'm going to invite you to return to a meditative posture if you would like to join me. You're also welcome to start off in more of a classic Shavasana, corpse pose. So if right now your body is like, oh, I really need to just get flat and heavy, like where we started, please do. If you're looking for a longer seated meditation,
then please join me on your bolster or on your ottoman or wherever you're doing seated meditation these days. So we'll be first just coming into breath and so on, and then at some point I'll be sharing the loving kindness meditation, and I'll let you know when that is in case you want to be seated for it. So please, coming onto your bolster or onto your back, tune in. Turn your gaze up and in. Tune in to your breath. Listen inward. Do you feel different than when you began your practice today? Are you grateful to yourself for getting to the mat? Were there any interesting things that bubbled up for you that you might want to journal about or make a note about? And if you have any thoughts that are pretty active right now, you might once again just picture placing them in that little satchel or bag, tying them up, and returning to your body. Witnessing breath rising and settling. Is there any greater giving in that can happen? Give in to gravity. Witness the amazing spacious body that you are in as breath rises and settles. No breath control of any kind, just the soft, passive breath of a baby sleeping.
Notice the stillness in your body. And before we close with our meditation, I'm going to invite you to join me in just a couple rounds of our breath locks, which are, to me, a wonderful way to experience our spacious energy in there, but also to enhance it. So as you're ready, please gather a nice active inhale. Just get a lot of good oxygen. And exhale. Just a soft, regular exhale, no compression. And hold out. External breath lock. Soften around the holding. Notice the initial instinct to break the lock and just ask, is there more? Can I soften around this? When appropriate, inhale and hold in, internal breath lock. And to me, again, that line of where we choose to break the lock is the place where we can really no longer soften around it, but we're beginning to contract or struggle. So in this internal breath lock, noticing sensation, noticing pressure, and when you need to release, please do. You can always take a neutral breath between. Otherwise, when you're ready, please join me one more round. Exhaling, hold out, and inhaling, hold in with awareness. And again, notice the effects on your body. And if you're not already seated, if you would like to join me being seated for the loving kindness meditation, please do. Otherwise, also know that I did record the loving kindness meditation just on its own. It's actually a audio file that you'll find in the playlist for Dharma Talks and Meditations on my YouTube channel. So if you're wanting to hear this again or revisit it without having to, do this whole class, you can re-access it there as well. The loving kindness meditation is a wonderful way to work with your own energy, to cultivate a peaceful and loving state. I find it's also powerful because in the face of any concerns or fears we might have for ourselves, perhaps for an individual in our life, and of course for the larger whole of humanity, the earth, the animals, whatever tugs at your heartstrings and plays on your worries, that this is a way to engage intentionally and directly, to kind of soothe and soften all of that. We become an active force instead of kind of a passive victim to energies that can be really challenging for us. So the three parts are this. The first time that I say it, I'm saying it to myself, and you would repeat it in your mind to yourself. The second time that we say it, we offer it up to an individual for whom we have love, concern, that we want to send this powerful message of healing, essentially. And then the third time, the third part, we would send it on out to a larger whole, and maybe it's a particular community, or maybe, like I said, it's everything and everyone. And it's a pretty quick meditation, and so you can repeat it also. Don't get lost in like, oh no, which person do I choose? You can revisit this as many times as you'd like, and it's really a soothing balm, I think, for the soul and the spirit. Thank you for being here. Please close your eyes, tune in, and you'll simply speak the words to yourself, repeating what I've said. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I ride the waves of my life with grace. May I find peace no matter what. And now holding in your mind's eye someone for whom you have love and concern. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you ride the waves of your life with grace. May you find peace no matter what. And with intention, sending the energy of the loving kindness meditation on out to a community. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you ride the waves of your life with grace. May you find peace no matter what. Breathe and please notice the effects of the meditation on your body. Again, I like to think of our body as our great antenna or a tuning fork. It really tells us what's true. And if we can get better at using mantra, just repeated words or thoughts that resonate well-being in our bodies, that will support us even when in times of stress and make us more resilient. And we're better for other people too. Again, I thank you so much for coming to the mat. If you'd like to join me in Ohms with the bowl, please do. Gathering a nice long inhale. Om Shanti Shanti. Om Peace Peace. Namaste.